Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And today's video is our weekly update for the first edition AD&D campaign, currently against the Giants. Our party is in the Giant Stronghold, and where we had last left off, they were getting ready to open. They had opened the door briefly to find this enormous banquet room full of giants partying and feasting and everything, and then we stopped there, and then that's where we're going to start back up again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over, and I've actually got a picture of the battle map with everything on it. We'll switch over to that, and then I will narrate you guys through the rest of the story of what happened on Friday night. Okay, so here we have the battle map of the giant compound, and this is the, for lack of a better term, I think it's called the Great Hall, the Great Dining Hall, whatever. This is actually called the Great Hall here, and then this is like the dining hall. But they're having their big giant banquet here, and you've got a big fire pit in the middle, which was described as having like a full oxen and like a couple of big hogs and everything else roasting on it. Or they've probably been eating it already, and but whatever's left is there. And then you have the giant king here represented here. This would be the number 2 in charge. The king's wife is over here, which behind him, which you can't really see. There's one cloud giant here. There's 3 stone giants represented. These 3 right here. And then you got a bunch of ogres and stuff. There's like 8 ogres, and the rest are all hill giants. There's like 22 hill giants, and then the cloud giant, 3 stone giants, the king, number 2 in charge, the wife, and then there's a cave bear right here, which in comparison looks small, but it is a cave bear. That is the king's pet. So this is what they were facing when they opened these double doors here. And what they did basically is they opened up the double doors, and the 2 magic users had spells prepared specifically in case there was something. They had a bad feeling that because of the size of the doors, and they could hear noise coming from inside, that they better have something ready. And sure enough, they opened the doors, and everybody in here, all the giants and everybody, are all drinking and fighting, or not fighting, but like wrestling, and other people are cheering them on during the wrestling match, and gambling and drinking and everything else. So obviously their focus was not on the door immediately when it was open for a few seconds, which gave them time to fire off a couple of spells and then slam the doors again. So that's what they did. The one magic user, our drow magic user, fireballed, I believe, this group right here, and damaged them. Most of them made their saving throws. The other magic user, the thief magic user, the half orc, he threw out a ice storm right here, and it's an automatic blinding for 1 round, so they were all blinded. And then they shut the door, and then everybody took off. Now, the ranger druid dual class character, which his name is Miethril, he's an elf. His name is Miethril something or other, but we just call him Maze for short. So Maze can turn into a stag, and he was able to take 2 passengers and take off down the hallway, which he did. Now, when that happened, he has a big move rate. It's like 48 on the stag, in stag form. So off he goes. That left the illusionist and some other people here to booking it. They're running as fast as they can down. But the illusionist has a magic item called an ebony fly or something like that, and it's basically a little flying mount. And I think he can take 1 passenger, and he basically makes it to, there's a guard tower over in this area here. If you could see more of the map, there is a guard tower, and his plan is to make it to the guard tower, to fly out through because there's big openings at the top of the guard tower. And so you have two different groups here. You have the group on the stag, and they go down, and the exit is, if you go down here, you make a left, there is an exit that takes you right out to the dirt road and so forth. And that's where they're heading for. But 6 of these giants here decided to go this way, and there's a set of double doors over here, and they decided they were going to try and head them off. So they basically catch up to them and get one free attack of opportunity as they're trying to flee. They did hit them pretty hard. They almost killed the magic user. I think they took him down to 2 hit points. But everybody got away. So those 6 giants were in pursuit. They continued pursuing them out onto the road and so forth, while our illusionist is trying, the remaining party is in the guard tower, and he is shuttling them out. One of the advantages is that ice storm creates an ice sheet, and anybody trying to cross it has to roll a saving throw. The giants failed their saving throw, and all the ones that were trying to pursue fell down. So you had some of these giants who had gone out these double doors, thinking that maybe they could find a way to get around, but they were not able to. These were the only ones that made a successful encounter with the party as they were fleeing. These 6 that did pursue them, though, after the illusionist had ferried everybody to the cave, which is their little hidden base, he saw them walking back because they couldn't keep up with the stag. They got tired and started walking back towards the compound. He decides to cast a improved phantasmal force of an earth elemental out on the road, which starts to battle these 6 giants. Now, the way that spell works in first edition is, as long as the illusionist is concentrating, and these folks have no reason to disbelieve it, they're very low. Hill giants are very low intelligence. They're pretty stupid, so they have no reason to not believe that that's an earth elemental that just came up out of the dirt, and so they're fighting it. And as long as the illusionist can concentrate, which he was able to on his flying mount, he can keep refreshing, make it look like the earth elemental is healing itself. So basically, through attrition, it's able to kill all 6 of those over time, kill those 6 hill giants, because the earth elemental does quite a bit of damage in itself. So they were able to take out 6 of them in that manner. Well, the illusionist was, by using his phantasmal force. So they did manage to weed out 6 of them. And then they had all regrouped back in the cave to decide what their next strategy would be. So in that time, of course, the giants had decided to start bolstering defenses, and they posted hill giants at all the exterior entrances, exits, etc. So our ranger druid again, he was able to use his he has a flying mount, he has a hippogriff. He was able to use that to scout the area, and the illusionist cast invisibility on him beforehand, so he was able to scout up high, invisible, so he could see the compound, and he could see the new defense measures that they had put in place with the additional guards and stuff like that. But one of the things he noticed was, so on the other side over here, somewhere in this area here of the compound, there is an open compound, an open enclosure for dire wolves. The giants have like 16 dire wolves at their disposal. And once he saw that, the druid ranger came up with the idea that if he could get close enough, because there was gates, exterior gates to that enclosure, if he could talk to them using speak with animals, perhaps he could convince them to turn on the giants. And that's exactly what he did. He successfully was able to, using invisibility, later, when he went back, he regrouped and then came back. And using invisibility, he was able to get up close enough to where he could speak with the animals, with the wolves, and convince them, because I rolled a reaction check for the wolves, and I rolled a 94. It's a percentile dice, and that was the highest category of cooperation. Lower the worse, So if it would have been like a 5 or something, like the wolf would have wanted to attack Maze. But 94, it was like, what can I do for you, Master Druid, And so they communicate, and it turned out that the wolves divulged that the giants, in fact, had been mean to them, would whip them. That's in the module, that the keeper would whip them into submission. And that right now they were not feeding them since the attack, because they wanted them to obviously be ferocious and hungry in case they had to battle the intruders. So they were hungry, and they had been mistreated, and so the Druid was able to say, well, if we can get you out of here, you can feast on one or two of the giants on your way out, and then we'll let you escape. And that was the plan they came up with. So Maze returned with another party member, and they were able to use suggestion. The other magic user was able to use suggestion on one of the hill giants outside the gate, and get him to open the gate using suggestion. And he just turned around and opened the gate. Again, they're low intelligence. They're susceptible to suggestion. Open the gate, and the wolves come out and just eviscerate these two hill giants. There's 16 wolves. And then the wolves escape. The Druid kept his word and let them go, So now at this point, they have taken out 6 hill giants and now eliminated 16 dire wolves from the equation. And then they went back again to the cave to regroup again and come up with the next plan. And so using these are guerrilla warfare tactics, as far as I'm concerned. That's the best way to handle this particular encounter, is picking them off piece by, rather than try and fight this enormous encounter at one time. So the next bit of strategy they used was, they came back once the leadership had replaced those hill giants and the wolves were gone. They basically piled up boulders in front of the gates, basically as to block that as an entrance, but also for ammunition for the hill giants to use, because they throw boulders. But our party had planned to come up, and from the distance from the tree line, they were able to silence. They cast silence so that the guards couldn't call for help. They cast silence in a 15-foot radius. So they were able to do that, and then the illusionist hypnotized one of the giants, which only left one to fight, and they were able to kill that one. And then coup de grace, the one that was hypnotized. So then they took out 2 more. Again, guerrilla warfare. So now they've at that point they had taken out a total of 10 hill giants and eliminated 16 dire wolves as no longer a threat. And that's where we ended the night. So obviously they don't know what the remaining, formidable group of enemies is going to do. I mean, there's still, like 20 hill giants and all these other ones and ogres and everybody else that just from this room that they have to deal with, but they have no idea what strategy they're going to partake in. But that's where we had to end the night. The night was, over. So, I thought that the party did very well. Smartest thing they could have done was, when they opened that and they saw this, was to just shut the doors and take off. A lot of parties in campaigns in the past think that they can take on this, and sometimes, depending upon the levels, maybe they can. But that's one hell of a formidable group to deal with right there at one time. So them casting the spells that they had prepared and then running after shutting the door. The ice storm was a stroke of genius because that kept them from being pursued this way. And then all they had to do was get away from this group of 6 that were cutting them off down here, which they barely got away from them. But then the guerrilla tactics after that was fantastic. So that is where we are at in the giant campaign. It was a fun night. So again, we're playing again Friday. So my new filming schedule, I will do this update by Monday at the latest. I do a Sunday live sometimes, and I talked a little bit about it, but this video should be done by Monday, the end of Monday, every week, as long as we didn't skip a week or something like that. Please click like, subscribe, share, comment, merch link down below, and we will catch you guys on the flip side.